Live. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to the Gardner, Kansas Planning Commission meeting for Monday, February 28, 2022. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If everyone would please rise and state the Pledge of Allegiance with me. We'll now move into roll call, starting on my right.
Commissioner Ham here.
Commissioner Hanson here.
Commissioner Mader here.
Commissioner McNear here.
Commissioner Juneman here.
Commissioner Cooper here.
Quorum is present. We have 6 members in attendance. Moving on to the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Planning Commission for study. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted upon by one motion with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item from either the Planning Commission or from the floor, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. We have one item on the consent agenda, which is standing approval of the minutes as written for the meeting on January 24, 2022. Is there any member of the public that would like to have that item removed from the consent agenda? Any member of the commission that would like to have that item removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by McNear with a second by Hanson. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0, approval of the consent agenda. Moving to the regular agenda, item number 1, final development plan, FDP-21-08, Auto Soak Carwash, located on Gardner Road, Lot 4, Plaza South. Do we have a presentation from staff this evening?
Good evening. Before I start my presentation, I just want to clarify, we did have a discrepancy on the electronic pack. The packet that you got that we delivered to your houses, that has the correct site plan on it. The one in the electronic packet is not correct. It's an old copy. So we'll go ahead and change that tomorrow at our regular time. This is a consideration for a final development plan for Auto Soak Car Wash located on Lot 4 at Plaza South. Lot 4 is currently undeveloped and has been used for agricultural purposes. Existing utility infrastructure, including sanitary, sewer, and electric, are located adjacent to the site. This lot has access to Gardner Road and to Vivian Street within the Plaza South commercial development. There appears to be no floodplain on the property, although there are some areas designated for potential flooding to the east. Next slide kind of shows you the site plan. I also highlighted the actual structure so you could see it a little better. Again. This is a copy of the Auto Soak Car Wash landscape plan, where it shows a total of 26 trees and 65 shrubs. As you can also see, it has the access I talked about onto Gardner Road, and then also on the back side is Vivian Street. These are the elevations. This would be the front elevation. And the staff findings for this development plan is that it is in compliance with all requirements of the code. Following the development plan is consistent with the preliminary development plan. The architecture and building design are of quality materials. Site design is generally consistent with good design principles and practices, and the building design size is appropriate with the size of the lot and its close proximity to the interstate. The elements are proportional to the building and create a unique structure within this side of the community. Staff recommends approval of the final development plan for Auto Soak Car Wash in the recommended motion below.
Great, thank you. Do we have the applicant with us that would like to speak on an item?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Curtis Hall, and I'm an attorney with the Polsinelli Law Firm, and we represent the owner, Jeff Smith, with Smith Co., and they're the proposed developer and owner, or would-be owner of the facility that was presented to you tonight. We've been hard at work at this for a couple months with the staff. Don't really have a formal presentation to make per se. Here to answer questions if you have any. We do have with us the engineering company that helped us, Mary Claire Amers with Wallace Design, is here to answer any design questions. We're in support, obviously, of the application and hope that you are in support of it as well and would recommend approval. And I guess the only comment I make is just sort of a question that we have on our side, and that's with respect to the stipulation number 2 here. We're not opposed to a sidewalk at all. I just asked the question of our folks, why is it 8 feet wide? And I don't know why is it 8 feet wide, Bob. But so again, it's not a big deal, but normally a sidewalk would be 5 or 6 feet wide, and this is more like that width's like a bike hike trail width. So what's the difference, or what's the issue here with that? That's the only question or comment we would have with respect to the staff report. Otherwise, we're happy with it and supportive of the plan, obviously, and hope that you are too as well. Here to answer questions. Thank you.
Could you also please state your address for the public record?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 900 West 48th Place, Kansas City, Missouri.
I didn't ask it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Bob, if you want to answer the quick question on the.
And I apologize. I didn't
No,
get a chance to ask you earlier tonight, so I didn't mean to.
It's valid.
But just to clarify.
No, that's fine. And you'll have to forgive me, I don't know the exact section of the code. But we require an 8-foot sidewalk leading from the front entranceway of a commercial building down to a sidewalk or trail. Typical sidewalks are 5 feet.
Correct. And this is trail connectivity, so I think that's the differentiating.
Oh, yeah.
That is correct. It is the walkway along Gardner is a designated trail within the city, so there is that opportunity for bike activity and things like that. The reason we request the connections at this time is we don't know how the property may get converted into other uses in the future. We hope that this business is successful, but we have to set up a framework that obviously may accommodate pedestrians or bicycle with any future use if the property were redeveloped. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, we'll go around the commissioners here. I'll start on my left. I'm starting on my right. We have obviously staff here, applicant, Commissioner Ham.
I have a question. There, on the existing conditions, it said there appears to be no floodplain on the property, although there are some areas designated for potential flooding to the east. Is that something that we need to be concerned about with the surrounding developments, or is that going to affect the property? Is that something that we need to be concerned about or look into?
As part of their preliminary development plan, all the drainage issues were handled with both the client's engineer and also staff engineers here in the city. So all shore monitor is being managed.
Okay. I know that there were some things that said that everything had been taken care of. I just wanted to make sure about that. So that was my only question.
Commissioner
Yeah, I
Ham?
just have one question. Could you go back to the slide where it kind of indicated what the traffic pattern or the flow of traffic would be? It was one of the slides that was shown. I was just trying to I drove out there this evening and just trying to visualize how the traffic would come in and out. I know there's a private drive involved. Is that off of 188th or 187th? But I can see where the cars are coming into the wash. I'm just wondering, how are they exiting the property? How are they getting back out onto Gardner Road, Center Street?
Yeah, they could either they will be exiting out of the drive entrance that's right kind of in the middle of the lot, out onto the private drive that comes off of Gardner Road.
Okay, so, I mean, I like the fact that the private drive has that little bit of a buffer where you can kind of get out of the flow of traffic and kind of start making your way in there. So I was just making sure it wasn't going to dump directly onto Gardner Road when they're exiting.
Yeah, that's one of the items that our public works staff actually addressed with the original site plan.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Great. information. I also had the same question because we've seen a lot of, developments that cluster traffic. So appreciate staff considering that. I don't have any further questions. Commissioner McNair?
No questions?
Judeman?
No further questions.
Cooper?
I would like to follow up on the traffic flow. In the document that's shown on the screen, is the traffic going to be directed to the east when they exit the car wash and then back south?
They actually have the ability to either go to the west or the east. So they can either exit out onto Gardner Road, or they can turn on south onto Vivian and go out two other entrance drives that are offer private drives into the Plaza South development.
So it will be exiting onto Gardner Road? Is that
Not
correct?
direct.
I misunderstood. I got from
They have
conversation.
multiple ways to exit out of this site. They actually have 3 ways. One is down, is direct access onto Gardner Road, and then they have 2 more exits. One is they can go all the way down to 188th Street and go to a lit intersection, or there's also an entrance drive on the middle of the Plaza South development that goes out directly to Gardner Road.
So I'm gonna clarify for you, because I think what I heard you say, you're worried about the direct access on the Gardner.
What I
The-
understood previously was it wasn't going to.
Right, so the site itself, there is not a direct access to Gardner Road from a drive off of the parking and the circulation area. There's a private drive along that north piece or the upper piece of your section there. So what Bob is referring to is when you hit that private road at that point, you can go either right or left. So you can go to the left and head west, and then that drive, that is that private drive segment there, does have access to Gardner Road. But the site itself, you have to get onto a private drive before you get to Gardner Road. Same for going to the east, Vivian Street has the same thing. So this is not a direct flow right out of the car wash into a drive that takes you right onto Gardner Road. You have to deviate and make left and right turns before you get there. And part of that also is to help keep the separation distance from the intersections further south. So that's where this drive aligns up on the north side.
And if I'm correct, this is the area of Gardner Road that's been widened, and that's not reflected in this picture?
It should,
The section of Gardner Road that's been widened goes all the way up to the middle entranceway into Plaza South. This is not a section that has been widened.
It's not. You said it's not?
It's not part of the new improvements that they did to the 188th and Gardner Road
Okay.
intersection.
That's all I have.
Okay, other questions that might have spurred during the discussion from the commissioners? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion on this item.
I'd make that motion. After review of application FDP-21-08, a final development plan for Auto Soak Car Wash dated December 6, 2021, and staff report dated February 28, 2022, the Planning Commission approves the application provided the following conditions are met. 1, the construction plans for any utilities, infrastructure, or public facilities shall meet all technical specifications, and public improvement plans shall be submitted and approved prior to issuance of a building permit. 2, an 8-foot wide sidewalk shall extend from the building to the Gardner Road Trail.
Second.
We have a motion made by Hanson with a second by McNair. Anyone have questions on the motion? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Moving to item number 2, final development plan, FDP-21-06, Panda Express, located in the southwest corner of Cedar Niles and Santa Fe Street. Staff, do we have a presentation this evening?
again.
Hello again.
All right, so this is item 2. It's for the consideration of a final development plan for Panda Express Restaurant located on Lot 1B of the Gardner Retail Plaza, 3rd plat. The lot is currently part of the north parking lot of Walmart, as you can see from the aerial. The original plans for this, the development of the Walmart site, which was originally called the Gardner Retail Plaza, consisted of the Walmart store and 3 additional out parcels as part of the original development. All utilities are available to the site. This site has access to both Cedar Niles and East Santa Fe Road through the Walmart parking lot. There appears to be no floodplain on the property, although there are some areas designated for potential flooding directly to the west of this. As you can see from the site, plan, this is where the proposing for the Panda Express, and then Burger King is right next door. Both will actually be using the access on the north side to exit from Burger King. There's actually there'll be cross access easements that are created as part of that will be recorded prior to an administrative plat being submitted to the county. The landscape plan, it shows the required number of trees and shrubs. Actually, there's a total of 24 trees and 286 shrubs that are being proposed for this site. The Panda Express building is utilizing quality materials for construction. And the staff findings is that the overall design is compatible to the context, considering location and relationships of other buildings, open space, and natural features. The architecture and building design uses quality materials, and the style is appropriate for the context, considering the proportion, massing, and scale. The proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The final development plan is in substantial compliance with the approved preliminary development plan. A cross-access easement will be needed, though, to be recorded for access across the property in front of the building will be a requirement of the administrative plat. Staff recommends approval of the final development plan for Panda Express Restaurant in the recommended motion below.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have the applicant with us this evening? State your name and address for the public record.
Good evening. Eric Ablin with Heights Venture Architects, architect for Panda Express. Address is 1111 North Loop West, Suite 800, Houston, Texas, 77008. So Panda Express is excited to be in this location. This is a good market for them, and they have a good partnership with Walmart. They do a lot of these, what they call carve-outs, and they carve out the lot and end up developing. We got lucky in this site, as Bob said, we have a lot of utilities in place, so it's very easy for us to develop this site. Overall process, we're in the process of working on that access easement right now with Walmart, getting that recorded. And just to let you know that we've gone through the FAA review process as well, since we're just south of the runway path, and that has been approved, so we have cleared that piece as well. And finally, we started this process quite some time ago, and we had a bit of a false start late last year. I really want to thank Bob for working with us, being patient with us. We have a lot of questions. We're kind of needy, and Bob's been really good to work with, so I appreciate it. Thank you for getting us to this point. I have Tim Shoemaker with RTM Engineering if you have any engineering questions, but otherwise, we're here to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll start with the commission discussion. Commissioner Ham?
I don't have any questions.
Hanson?
I really don't have any questions.
I don't have any either. McNair?
No questions?
Juniman?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. I guess this might be a question for the city. You said there were three total outlots that were able to be developed for that Walmart site. I was just looking at kind of walkability and sidewalks and noticed like there's not a whole lot you can get from like the hotel over to that area. And I didn't know if that kind of triangle portion, if you kind of go back to this site plan, no, actually Ariel doesn't have it. But there's kind of a triangle portion that kind of has a sidewalk to nowhere there. I didn't know if there's any possibility for this development to connect to that.
Is that the area south of the Burger King?
Yeah, yeah.
One of the goals that the Public Works Department is working on right now is to connect up a lot of those sidewalks that terminate like in the middle of a lot or a development. How one development, let's say it developed in the past and for some reason they didn't put a sidewalk out front. They're actually working on connecting all those together right now. I can't say when it's going to connect up with the east side of like Cedar Niles Road and connect up with the hotel, but they are providing an 8-foot sidewalk out to the Santa Fe Street sidewalk as part of this site plan, and about the only thing that we can do in planning is to ensure that all the new sites that are developed abide by our code.
I will add for the commissioner that if the Panda Express was coming in on the Burger King site, that would have been a raw greenfield site. We would have required that connection to go up there along that east side of the property. Unfortunately, Burger King was developed prior to the requirements, or for whatever reason, it wasn't required at the time the Burger King was put in. So, as Bob indicated, that's the process we're left with, is filling those gaps at some future date.
Thank you. And then I had a question, this might be for the engineering, but are cars able to make a right turn after coming out of the drive-through onto that private drive towards Burger King? Because it looked like there's only about a 3-foot median. That might be kind of tight for cars to try to do that.
Thanks. Tim Shoemaker, RTM Engineering, 9225 Indian Creek Parkway, Overland Park 66210. Yes, they can. They're going to swing out very wide, but we expect them to turn left. That's the more natural route.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I had.
Great. Commissioner Cooper?
No questions.
We don't have any other questions after the discussion. I'd entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make that motion.
Great.
After review of application FDP-21-06, a final development plan for Panda Express dated December 6, 2021, and staff report date February 28, 2022, the Planning Commission approves the application provided the following conditions are met. 1. The construction plans for any utilities, infrastructure, or public facilities shall meet all technical specifications. Public improvement plans shall be submitted and approved prior to issuance of a building permit. 2. The administrative plat AP-21-09 shall be recorded with the Johnson County Records and Tax Administration prior to the issuance of a building permit. 3. An 8-foot wide sidewalk shall extend from the building to Santa Fe Street. And 4. The application shall be reviewed and approved by the Johnson County Board of County Commissioners prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Second.
We have a first made by Ham with a second by McNear. Any questions on the motion? No questions. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I'm just going to clarify that point number 4, the very last one in those conditions, just so people understand. This site is located within the 1-mile influence area of New Century Airport by state statute. All of those development applications go forward to the Airport Commission as well as the County Commission. For those of you who are new, we may not have had a case that has gone through this process before, but when you see that kind of recommendation, it's usually referencing the statutory requirements that we have within that 1-mile area. in particular. So as the applicant alluded to, there's an FAA process that you go through for basic approvals, but because of that state statute, now the New Century Airport Operations Group has a chance to look at that too. And they will not look at these things until they're approved by the city. So that's why you saw that condition tonight.
Great call out. Thank you. Okay. Move on then, item number 3. Final Development Plan FDP-22-01, Center Street Commons Liquor Store, located at the southeast corner of 183rd Street and Center Street. Staff, do we have a presentation?
We do.
Hello.
So this undeveloped lot is currently part of a 5-lot development called the Center Street Commons. The lot to the north is the Casey's store, and to the south is Mid-American Bank, which was developed just a couple years ago. All drainage is being handled by a regional retention basin as part of the original plat. All utilities are available to the site, and this site has access to Gardner Road through a joint access drive to the north and a rear private drive that connects to 183rd. As you can see, this is how the building is situated on the lot. It shows the access going to the north into the Casey's drive, so that'll be a joint drive. And this slide is showing the landscape plans. There's a total of 6 trees, and a total of 16 shrubs and 50 decorative grasses that are part of it. And they're also utilizing 4 existing street trees along Gardner Road. Again, the liquor store, the architectural elevations are nicely done, and they're utilizing quality materials. And staff findings. The overall design is compatible to the context considering the location and relationships of other buildings, open spaces, natural features, or site design elements. The architecture and building design uses quality materials, and the style is appropriate for the context considering the proportions, massing, and scale of different elements of the building. The proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Final development plan is in substantial compliance with the approved preliminary development plan. And a cross-access easement will need to be recorded for access across the property in front of the building, and will be a requirement of the administrative plat as well. Staff recommends approval of the final development plan for the Center Street Commons Liquor Store and the recommended motion below.
Great. Thank you, Bob. Do we have the applicant with us this evening? State your name and address for the public record.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Planning Commission. My name's Judd Clausen with Phelps Engineering, address 1270 North Winchester, Olathe, Kansas, appearing before you tonight on behalf of Gardner Liquor, who's Olathe business, or Gardner business, and looking to build their own store on this commercial site. Obviously, it's, the zoning's proper for the use. This pad site's been there since, I think, 2005 or so. So really nice to see that portion filled in between Casey's and the bank there. With me tonight, David Eskoff Architecture. He's the architect for the project, so any building questions, I'm gonna have to phone a friend, have him come up here and help answer that question. Also Craig Penzler with KBS Constructors. They're the design builders, so we got the design team here. This is a 7,800 square foot building, fits nicely on the site, as you can see from the site plan. There's ample parking. We put it on the store side, so it's easy for customers to walk up to the sidewalk, come into the store and stuff, so they're not crossing drive aisles and things. We did have a sidewalk connection off to the trail along Gardner Road there, but we agree with the stipulations to make it 8 foot wide. I think it's shown at 5 right now, so that's not a big deal. But as you can see, site grading, landscape plan, building elevations, and they're ready to start construction soon. So we'll be in for permitting and want to start this store this spring just as soon as we can get permits. So with that, I'll stand for any questions. We agree with the 3 stipulations on the project, and thank you for your time considering this tonight.
Thank you. All right, commission discussion. I'll start with you, Commissioner Ham.
I'm glad that you're okay with the 8-foot. I know that the 8-foot wide sidewalk, because I know it does back up to the walking trail. So that was my only thing, and I see that was in the motion. So other than that, I have no questions, and I'm good with everything.
I was just going to comment on the access to the site. I like the way the layout has been designed, years ago with the beginning of Casey's and the post office and the bank, and just kind of the way traffic comes in from, not necessarily from Gardner Road, but from maybe 183rd or the little private drive. So kudos to the planners for that. Otherwise, I think it looks good.
Great, yeah, I'll have to agree that it's nice to see an infill happen in the right spot. That's the only comment I had. McNair?
Looks good. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
Gentlemen?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. In the staff report, it mentioned that the drive at Casey's is an exit-only drive, so people aren't allowed to turn in from Gardner Road if they're heading south. Is that correct? Or they're not supposed to? Might be a big question for Bob. Sorry.
I'm deferring to Bob because he wrote the staff report. You need to get the aerial there. I think he's talking about.
Yeah, there's actually an aerial drawing in your staff packet there. And as you can see, there's a shadow line, there's a shadow there for the island that, in your northbound, it's starting to shadow out there for that. And then right north of that intersection is your northbound left, to turn left on 183rd, I think. Is that right? I can't speak to the southbound movement. Obviously, we're not changing any access drives here. We're not asking for any new drives onto Gardner Road. We're just, using what's already there.
Refresh my memory on my staff report, if you would, where it
Um,
says that it's only exit only.
It says under the roadway network and vehicular access, it's talking about the cross access in the future from Casey's. This is an exit-only drive from the north at the intersection of the subject property and the private access drive. Full access connection to the private drive is provided at the northeast corner of the property. And so I took that as basically people are only supposed to exit out toward Casey's. They're not supposed to come in from Gardner. If they're coming south on Gardner Road and they're wanting to turn left toward Casey's, they're not supposed to do that and go into the site.
It is striped as a double yellow right there, so I would anticipate the southbound traffic would need to come down to the southern entrance here to come back around this way. Do people do it? Probably,
It's not a median, there's not a raised
It-
median
there's-
there.
And that's what I didn't know, and that's where I was gonna go next, was do we need to have some sort of, triangle-shaped median or something there to discourage that, since it is so close to a signaled intersection?
That would probably be something that may or may not be considered if the city were to do a roadway project in that area. This would not be something we require this development.
It's not private.
Yeah, because the drive's already established and the functions work okay. But I could see if Public Works at the city or some combination of funding sources came about later to do an improvement of the intersection and start looking at different access and management models and things, that could be part of an improvement project. I will state so the applicant doesn't worry about this. I don't know of anything on books where that's been talked about. I'm just letting you know that typically, it's kind of like sidewalks. As we
Yeah.
have improvements to functions on these intersections and things, it's possible to make those kinds of improvements at that point in time.
Okay. Thank you. And then, another question I had, kind of with the style of the buildings, maybe this is a question for the architect. The community bank there, it's kind of like a very, light tan colored building, kind of multicolored rocks. And the Casey's next to it, another kind of tan, light colored building. And then you've got, this is, it's a nice proposed building, but looking at the context of those two buildings next to them, I just thought it's gonna be a little bit stark, the wood and the dark gray.
Yes, David Escove, David Escove Architecture, 21466 West 120th Street, Olathe, Kansas. To answer your question, we did start out matching the bank. This was more the owner's direction, their preference. They wanted to go, they liked Whole Foods with the wood and the darker colors. We actually did about 3 versions, and it got darker each time. So it's kind of their preference. It does meet the city ordinance, so we allowed it. But I personally liked the lighter version, but again, I'm not the ultimate say when the design is not my money, so.
Be popular.
Do we have any?
Well,
I don't know if the final development
So,
plan is necessary.
you know, when staff is reviewing these kinds of things, we're looking at the architectural elements and materials per the code stipulations. Many times a commercial development will have architectural covenants or restrictions if it's a unified development. In this case, I don't believe there were any of those restrictions or private covenants, that the architecture has to be similar. So that's where staff can only hold them to what the code requirements are. And really from the standpoint of colors and things like that, we don't get into that level of detail or something like this. We're more concerned, I think, about the materials than anything else. But Bob, you may want to, I don't know if you want to add to that or not.
Not really, but no, Dave nailed it on the head right there. We're not going to be subject an architect to our style of color palette.
Yeah, it's more of a personal opinion. Sounds like we're maybe on the
Yeah, I don't
same page.
disagree with
If this
you,
building
but-
was half a mile south, it would fit in perfect with some
Yeah.
of the other new developments. I just thought with some of the existing developments.
It's a very modern look versus more of a traditional brick
Right.
look or something like
Yeah.
that. So it does have that change of character. Again, we just don't have those architectural requirements. Many times through the preliminary development plans, we will have architectural requirements and things like that. But again, this is an infill after the fact, and it does not have those kinds of requirements stipulated.
Yeah, that's all the questions I had.
Great. Cooper?
None.
All right. Any other discussion after conversation? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make that motion.
Great.
After review of application FDP 22-01, a final development plan for Gardner Liquor Store to be located at 18865 South Gardner Road, and final development plan dated January 3, 2022, and staff report dated February 28, 2022. The Planning Commission approves the application as proposed, provided the following conditions are met. 1, record a 26-foot wide cross-access easement in the location of the north/south drive on the western portion of the property prior to the release of the building plans for a building permit. Number 2, provide an 8-foot wide sidewalk from the building to the Gardner Road Trail. And number 3, the administrative plat AP-22-01 shall be recorded with the Johnson County Records and Tax Administration prior to the issuance of the building permit.
Second.
We have a motion made by McNear with a second by Cooper. Any questions on the motion? No questions, I'll take a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, commissioners.
Moving on, regular agenda item number 4, final plat FP-22-01, Prairie Trace Estates, Lot 18, located at 17769 Houston Street. Staff, do we have a presentation?
Yes, we do. Lot 18 of Prairie Trace Meadows is located at the corner of Houston and 178th Street. It was a part of the first plat for Prairie Trace Meadows, which went before Planning Commission in 2020. The property is zoned RP2 and is currently vacant. The property has a drainage easement to the north, a utility easement along the west, south, and east, and a sanitary sewer easement along the south. A replat of Lot 18 was requested with the purpose of narrowing the existing 20-foot wide sanitary sewer easement along the south to be 17 feet wide to allow space for the construction of a similar style house to those on the other lots in the Prairie Trace Meadows development. Staff recommends approval of the final plat for Prairie Trace Meadows, Lot 18, in the recommended motion below. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, commissioners, we'll start down here with Commissioner Ham. Any questions?
No questions. It seems pretty straightforward, so I'm happy with it.
Ditto.
I have no questions.
Good?
Gentlemen?
No questions.
Cooper? Questions. Great. Seeing no questions, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make that motion.
Great.
After review of application FP-22-01, Lot 18, Prairie Trace Meadows, first plat, the Planning Commission approves the application as proposed, provided the following conditions are met. 1, revise the plat to differentiate from previously approved plat with the lot number shown as Lot 18A. 2, remove the name of Scott Bowden from the space for the Planning Commission Chair to allow for the name of the current Planning Commission Chair, and recommends the governing body accept the dedication of the right-of-way and easements.
Second.
I have a motion made by McNear with a second by Juniman. Any questions on the motion? See no questions. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Madam Chair, I'm just gonna interrupt. I can't believe you let our intern off with that easy, so.
Well, I thought about it.
I failed to introduce him to
thought about
everybody.
it.
Yeah,
I
I failed to
thought
introduce
about
him
it.
to everybody. So just so you know, Jesse Hunter is an intern. He's been working with us since last May, June-ish, right in that time. So he's almost been with us for a year. He is a student at UMKC in their urban design classes there, the curriculum there. He's been doing good work behind the scenes, doing a lot of the plot plan evaluations and things like that. And we've been trying to give him some opportunities to write staff reports and also do some presentations. So this is the first time he's been before you, but I did, I wanted to let you know that I anticipated he might have introduced himself, but I guess
I
I
almost-
erred on that part,
I
so.
almost thought about grilling him for his
Yeah.
name and address for the public
Yeah,
record.
We'll
No.
find something. We'll put him up
We'll-
here on something.
We'll figure
and
something
get
out.
it.
We'll let him go
So,
this time.
but he did a good job with that, and hopefully you all are comfortable with him. He's been an asset to us for about a year now.
He did
Really
a very
enjoyed
good job.
having him on.
Great job, welcome aboard.
Yep, good job. Welcome. Okay, Dave, do you have anything for us tonight that's not
Yeah,
on your
just
discussion?
do a couple things here. You know, the architecture question's an interesting question that you raised on this, and you noticed all three of these had that kind of modern architecture, and you're starting to see a lot of different building materials than what the codes may have allowed before or even contemplated before. There's now, wood grain paneling that's made out of metal and different things at an architectural level, which causes us that kind of, okay, how does this work? And in these infills, it's really difficult because at the end of the day, if the lot would have been developed at the time that it was originally platted and part of the development, it probably would have all looked exactly the same. Unfortunately, when something sits for 10 years or 15 years, you want to get that development into that property too. So, we're not quite as stringent about certain architectural elements as a lot of other cities in Johnson County, but we do have a pretty stringent requirement when it comes to material usage. So we're comfortable with that. But I just wanted to mention that because the architecture will come up more and more when we do infills. It's a lot easier when we've got a development that's really humming and everything looks like it's coming in around the same time, and pretty soon you have that situation where it looks very unified. The other balance point that staff always has to weigh with these applicants is really the branding and identity of the various users, and that becomes an issue too that we kind of watch for. So there's certain things you can do, and if you're in a strong enough market, you can generally get away a little bit more with things than you can when you're in a market that nobody's really sure of. So Gardner is still a market that's evolving, it's developing, so it's not quite as established as maybe a Leawood, 135th Street on Leawood or something like that, where there's an established identity and people want that prestige address of Leawood, to basically equate to that. So you can usually get away with a lot more scrutiny on architecture in those kinds of locations because everybody's got a pro forma and they're looking at estimated revenues from that and how much cost they can put into it. So we try to be sensitive to those things because we don't want want to chase anybody off, but on the same hand, try to raise the bar quality as much as we can. Next month, March 28th is our meeting. We do have a number of items on there. I'm just gonna kind of run through them a little bit for you. We have a conditional use permit for, is it Mark Recycling, M-A-R-C-K, up here on Center Street. They're an established business. When they came in to talk to us about something, we came to the realization that their current CUP had expired, so they need to get in here and get that taken care of. So that's one item that'll be on the agenda next month. Prairie Trace Estates, the third element of that, the final plan and final plat for Prairie Trace Estates, third will come in also next month. New Trails Commercial, which is part of the Grotto development up there. That's a preliminary plat and a final plat only of just a couple lots that they're doing the final plat on at this point in time. Cypress Creek, which is the Bergdorf property north of the high school, their first phase is coming in for their final development plan and their final plat on that. I believe, Bob, was that 70 houses, 75 houses, or a little less? I can't remember. It's basically the southwest corner, the first part of that southwest corner. So I think it's somewhere in the range of 50 lots or so.
Oh, the engineer's here for.
He's not on that project.
Yeah.
This company is on that project, but he's not on that one, so I don't know if he knows or not. Yeah, I didn't think so. It's somewhere in that, I think it's somewhere in that 50 to 70 range, if I remember right. And then University Park Apartments at 167th and White, so you know where Tallgrass Apartments are and what's going on there. This parcel is the parcel that is adjacent to, some people call it the quarry, but it's actually a landfill operation right now that is sitting there on 167th, so it's the property right to the east of it, adjacent there. And that is proposing multifamily for about 660 units. I think that's right, Judd? 660 on that one, and that one's coming in. That will have a public hearing associated with it. I don't know what he brought.
Oh.
I don't know what he put up there. It's next month. Yeah, we really shouldn't talk too much about it because we got a public hearing on it and things like that. So, and notices.
I thought that was the location you're talking about.
No, this was the final plat that Dave was asking about.
Lots.
And it's actually 75 lots for Cypress Creek.
Okay. I know, I should have stuck with 75. Better buy a lottery ticket tonight. So anyway, so the University Park one, that'll be a rezoning and a preliminary development plan. So just be aware that'll have public hearings associated with it. We do anticipate we'll have citizens that will be interested in that because we do have residential development on the south side of 167th in that area. So that development is coming along. I will let you know that just to the east of that, on the other side of White Street, between the Justice Center and White Street, while we have not had any, what I'll call even preliminary discussions with anybody, we have heard that property got placed under contract recently, so there may be some more interest up in that corner of the world in the future too. Be aware of that. I'm working on some statistical items that I actually shared at Rotary last week. Mayor was asked to speak, so I put some numbers together and I need to refine those, otherwise I'd give them to you. But in general, just to give you an idea of what's going on, we have, through the last couple of years, gosh, since I've been here a little bit longer than that, we have approved developments equating to about 2,500 housing units, so either individual single-family lots or apartments. Many of those are starting to come online. Hilltop Ridge has got its infrastructure in. We're anticipating some building permits there. I think we've even had a couple in Hilltop, did we not? No, not yet. So we're anticipating that. Symphony Farms continues to truck along. Prairie Trace Estates is bringing things on. Treadway Apartments has started their clubhouse. Tall Grass is going into their second phases, things like that. So we are seeing movement into the construction side of this, but 2,500 units is quite a few in the pipeline at this point in time. But that's a good thing, because commercial development generally follows rooftops. So as we get more rooftops being built down here in Gardner, we'll have significantly more commercial interest, I'm sure, in some of the areas that we're looking at. The reason I bring that up is a lot of people will say, hey, we're expecting south of I-35, and I'll say southeast of I-35, that area is going to take off. I will tell you, just looking at the initial numbers here, about 78% of the growth through those 2,500 units is north of I-35 in Gardner. 22% is really the Prairie Trace and Treadway developments and Tuscan Farms on the south side. So when we think about that right now, there's a significant number of lots and dwelling units coming online in that northwest kind of side of I-35, pressing northwestward. So just something to note when everybody gets so focused on the southeast, there is still a lot going on. And again, more than the majority is happening on this northwest part of town. So that's something to keep in mind, especially from an infrastructure provision standpoint. Hopefully you all get the city's announcements or notifications. It's my understanding a couple lanes on Main Street will be shutting down tomorrow as they start their work there. KDOT, that's a KDOT project. We're a partner in it financially, but it's really a KDOT run project. And then also we have been having discussions down in the Gardner Road, I-35 interchange areas. KDOT's preparing to do the second stage of that work, which is really bridge replacement and some ramp realignment at that interchange. And the last I heard, the anticipation is that project won't be let until the fall of 2023. So it's still a ways off, but we have been having discussions with KDOT and some of the property owners around there to create a conduit for information exchange. So there's a lot going on in the community. We're busy in our office trying to keep up with it. So you don't see all of it coming through planning, but on a daily basis, it's staying pretty busy. Building permits are moving along, probably the pace a little bit better than last year at this time. Last year we were slow at the beginning part of the year, and then it picked up more at the tail end of the year, and we're playing pretty steady with that right now.
Good.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I think that's all I've got. Am I missing anything at all that you can think of? Great.
Good.
That's good, because I'm just keeping them longer now. So, any questions or anything for staff?
I don't think so.
Anticipate, if you do have a scheduling problem for next month on March 28th, please let me know so that we know if we've got a quorum or not. The sooner I know that I have a quorum, the better off we are, especially with the applications that we've got in line. If I've got to do some scheduling, I'd rather do it now. But we are sending out notifications in that for that March meeting at this point. So,
Cool.
okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, staff, as always. Great job, and welcome, intern.
Thank you.
You did a good job tonight. I didn't curl you, and neither did any of the commissioners, so.
We'll